Hey guys, welcome to Fluent For Real. If you want to boost your career and you need English to do that, you are definitely in the right place. Take your English from okay intermediate to fluent for real. Welcome aboard. Forget will as a verb to represent future. Just for this video. Yes, will is not future. Well, at least it's not just future. It's so much more than that. Let me show you one idea that is truly idiomatic and useful at the same time. As you finish this video, you will see both the theory and the practice for will as a present idea. What? Let me explain. You know how babies can't eat the same food that we adults eat? They have to eat something without so much salt. How you have to cut the food, smash it to make it into a paste because they're just not ready to digest complex food. When we're learning English and we are basic students, we also need more time and knowledge to be able to process more complex ideas. So usually, in general, we learn will as a future form, but we don't learn all the other idiomatic uses that we have for will, and we don't necessarily learn all the exceptions and the tricky ways to use it. That's what we're going to do today. We will learn how to use will in the present. The word will equals what someone wants to do. Take a look at this definition from the Longman Dictionary. It's about your desire, your determination to do something, what you are willing to do or not willing to do, decisions. So in a nutshell, it means what you want to do. In relation to my profession, I won't do anything against my will. I have principles. Even though things were tough, she never lost her will to make the business work. In those two examples, we were able to see will being used as a noun, not as a verb, respecting the idea that I had mentioned before, what you want to do. So what I want to show you today is the connection between that meaning of will as a noun and the idiomatic use of the verb will. By using will in the negative form, which means won't, we express I don't want to, I refuse to, I decide not to. Right now, or today, or this week. Not in the future, or not necessarily in the future. Say what? Check this out. Have you convinced John to come meet with us? I tried his phone many times, but he just won't return my calls. Even though I am trying to call him, he refuses to answer, he refuses to return my calls. And all of that is happening right now, today, or this week, or recently. It is not going to happen in the future. It is already happening. When I say he won't return my calls, that means, from my point of view, he can return my calls. Maybe he even saw that I called already, but he just decided not to. He refuses to call me back. He can, but he won't. He can, but he doesn't want to. He decided not to. He's choosing not to. Remember how I mentioned that will can also mean a decision that you make, something you choose to do or you choose not to do. How about this situation? I've been trying to finish this video for hours, but the app just won't work. The app usually works, but for some reason today, it decided not to work. It refuses to function. And before you think this is weird and become all judgmental on the poor verb, think about your own language. In Portuguese, we say, the computer doesn't want to work. I don't know what's going on. In this very situation, we say things like that. But in English, the way to express that refusal is to use won't. And surprisingly enough, if you say, my computer doesn't want to work, that's gonna sound weird to a native speaker. Check out these examples. This laptop is too old. It doesn't work and I just can't fix it. That means it permanently or usually or never works. The situation is more permanent or at least usual. My laptop won't work. What's going on? I need help. This means that right now I'm having some kind of trouble with my laptop. That usually works, but right now, for some reason, won't. It's a specific situation. It is not a habit. It's not frequent. Why won't you help me? I have asked you for help and you said no. I think you can help me, but I think you just refuse to do it. You just don't want to do it. You choose not to. This time, not always. Why don't you help me? Probably this is a habit that usually happens or always happens. So I'm complaining because You never help me. So I want to know, why don't you help me? Why don't you ever help me? Or it could even be, hey, why don't you help me? As a suggestion, which means, since you're not doing anything, why don't you come and help me? Can this idiomatic use of will, meaning refusal, decision not to do, also be used for the future? Yeah, it sure can. But chances are it's easier for you to understand and to use that idea in the future than it is for you to understand it and use it in the present. The present idea is what we need to concentrate on to become more idiomatic and reach a sharp, clear-cut English. Go straight to the point, save your time and save your listeners' time. Remember how objective English is, so we need to use it as objectively as it can be. Usually, the window doesn't open. Right now, the window won't open. One more time. Usually, the window doesn't open. Right now, the window won't open. Habit. He never answers my calls. Specific situation of refusal. Today, he won't answer my calls. The interpretation is, I believe he can, but he refuses to. One more time. Habit. He never answers my calls. Specific situation of refusal. Today, he won't answer my calls. Habit. That car is an antique. It doesn't start. Specific situation right now. Hello, I need a mechanic. My car won't start. One more time. Habit. That car is an antique. It doesn't start. Specific situation right now. Hello, I need a mechanic. My car won't start. And before we get to the little quiz that I have prepared, why don't you be a dear and leave your like, share this video with a friend who you think would profit from this lesson, follow us on social media, and have new content every day. Okay, done? Great. Moving on. Let's practice. Choose the best option. Sometimes both are correct. It depends on how you interpret the situation, remember? But let's always give preference to the more idiomatic option, all right? The new one, the one that we want to learn how to use if we can or if we cannot use it. So don't or won't. My boss never interviews the candidates. He asks me to do it. My boss doesn't interview candidates. He doesn't do it. He never does it. It's a habit. I am not talking about whether or not he's refusing to do it. But if you do know he hates it and he just refuses to do it, then you could use won't. Ooh, it's so hot in here. Could you open the window? I'm trying. I'm trying, but it won't open. It usually opens, but right now it refuses to. She says she needs time to create her designs, so she just won't respect any deadlines, regardless of the urgency. Interpretation. She can do it, but she refuses to because she strongly believes that she needs that time. She needs to do things calmly. Even though I have proven to be a very dedicated employee, my boss just won't give me a pay raise. My interpretation is he has the power to do it, but he refuses to do it. Caitlin is so stubborn. She won't write down my messages even though I've told her not to trust her memory. Now I want to invite you to create 5 sentences using won't as a refusal in the present. Then you will repeat each sentence out loud 3 times and repeat that exercise for 5 days straight. Create 5 sentences, repeat each one out loud 3 times. But it has to be 5 days in a row, right after watching this lesson. Your brain's new connections are fresh. You can't let them weaken. Doing the dishes 3 days after you had dinner is much harder, isn't it? The food is dry and rigid and gets stuck on the plate and the knives and the forks. Do the dishes immediately. Study immediately. Study right after you learn something new. Study constantly and strengthen the connections that you make when you learn something new. Don't wait a whole week or 2 weeks or a month. The more you wait, the longer it takes for you to actually learn how to use that. You will feel like you're dedicating a lot of time studying, but actually the time invested won't be as productive. In a nutshell, to wrap up this lesson, let's separate two concepts. Habits from refusals, decisions. I want, I don't want. They can, but they won't. They do or they don't. Frequently, usually, always. And do you know how to use the same idea but for the past? If you don't know and you're curious, let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to prepare a lesson. I'm Renata and this is Fluent For Real. Boost your career by boosting your English. See you guys next time.